1. Pyongyang, the monumental capital. Pyongyang is unlike any other capital city on Earth. Wide boulevards stretch across carefully planned districts, lined with monumental architecture, grand statues, and imposing government buildings that reflect the country's ideological identity. A visit here feels highly structured, theatrical, and symbolic. Every landmark tells a story about national history and leadership. The skyline is dominated by the pyramid-shaped Ryugyong Hotel, an iconic and mysterious skyscraper that has become one of the most recognizable buildings in the country. The city's metro system, the Pyongyang Metro, is surprisingly ornate, with chandelier-lit stations decorated in socialist realist art, mosaics, and grand murals. It's often described as one of the deepest metro systems in the world. Major monuments such as the Tower of the Juchidea rise dramatically along the Taedong River, offering panoramic views from the top. The immense Kim Il-sung Square serves as the stage for military parades and national celebrations. Nearby, the Arch of Triumph stands even taller than its Parisian counterpart, symbolizing resistance and independence. Pyongyang is meticulously organized and always visited on guided tours, making it a controlled but fascinating insight into one of the world's most closed societies. 2. Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, the divided peninsula. The Korean Demilitarized Zone is one of the most politically significant places on Earth. This heavily guarded border between North and South Korea symbolizes decades of tension since the Korean War armistice in 1953. On the northern side, visitors are taken to the village of Panmunjom, where negotiations historically took place. The atmosphere is tense yet historic. Soldiers stand guard, and buildings painted in blue mark the border line itself. It's a rare opportunity to witness a real geopolitical fault line. The DMZ is not just political, it's also an accidental wildlife refuge, as limited human activity has allowed nature to flourish. But above all, visiting the DMZ is about understanding the complex and unresolved history of the Korean peninsula. 3. Mount Paektu, the sacred peak. Mount Paektu is the highest mountain in North Korea and holds deep cultural and mythological significance. Located on the border with China, this dormant volcano is considered sacred in Korean history. At the summit lies Heaven Lake, a breathtaking crater lake surrounded by dramatic volcanic cliffs. The landscape here contrasts strongly with Pyongyang's urban monumentalism. This is raw, powerful nature. Snow often caps the peak even in late spring, adding to its dramatic beauty. Mount Paektu is also central to North Korean revolutionary mythology, making it both a natural wonder and a politically symbolic destination. 4. Kaesong, ancient Korean heritage frozen in time. Kaesong feels like stepping into a different era of Korean history. Unlike the monumental socialist architecture of Pyongyang, Kaesong preserves the legacy of the Goryeo dynasty, which ruled the Korean peninsula from the 10th to the 14th century. The city once served as the capital of that kingdom, and its layout still reflects classical Confucian planning principles. Traditional Hanok-style houses, stone bridges, and low-tiled rooftops surrounded by rolling hills. One of the most significant sites is the Goryeo Museum, housed in a former Confucian academy dating back nearly 1,000 years. Walking through its wooden courtyards and lecture halls offers a rare look at Korea before division, before ideology, before modern geopolitics reshaped the peninsula. Ancient calligraphy, ceramics, Buddhist relics, and royal artifacts give depth to a period often overshadowed by modern political narratives. Just outside the city lie the royal tombs of the Goryeo kings, scattered across peaceful hillsides. These UNESCO-listed sites combine nature and history in a serene setting. Kaesong also sits near the demilitarized zone, making it historically and geographically symbolic, a bridge between eras and a reminder of Korea's shared past. Kaesong provides something rare in North Korea, a sense of historical continuity that predates the 20th century, offering cultural depth beyond modern monuments. 5. Mount Kumgang, the Diamond Mountains. Mount Kumgang, often called the Diamond Mountains, is considered one of the most beautiful natural landscapes on the Korean peninsula. Its jagged granite peaks rise sharply above forested valleys, forming dramatic silhouettes that change color with the light, pale gray at midday, glowing gold at sunset, and mist-covered at dawn. Water plays a central role in Kumgang's beauty. Crystal-clear streams wind through the valleys, feeding waterfalls that cascade down smooth rock faces. Hiking trails lead visitors through narrow gorges and panoramic viewpoints, where layers of mountains stretch endlessly into the distance. In autumn, the forests explode into red and orange foliage, transforming the region into a painter's masterpiece. Historically, Mount Kumgang has deep cultural significance. Korean poets and scholars for centuries described its scenery as spiritually uplifting. Hidden among the peaks are ancient Buddhist temples and hermitages that add a contemplative atmosphere to the rugged terrain. For a time, this region symbolized rare inter-Korean cooperation, as tourism projects once brought South Korean visitors across the border. Though access today remains tightly controlled, Mount Kumgang continues to represent both natural grandeur and political symbolism. 6. Wonsan, North Korea's emerging seaside vision. Wonsan offers a completely different perspective on North Korea, one shaped by coastline, sea breeze, and ambitious tourism development plans. Located along the country's eastern shore, the city combines port infrastructure, long sandy beaches, and newly constructed resort zones intended to showcase a modern leisure destination. The nearby Kalma coastal tourist area has been heavily promoted as a symbol of future-oriented development. Rows of colorful high-rise hotels, beachfront promenades, and recreational facilities aim to transform the region into a holiday hub. While foreign tourism remains limited and structured, the scale of construction demonstrates the state's vision for expanding controlled tourism. Beyond development projects, Wonsan's natural setting is striking. The East Sea, Sea of Japan, provides dramatic sunrises, fishing harbors, and coastal landscapes that contrast sharply with Pyongyang's monumental urban design. Nearby islands and small mountains frame the shoreline, creating scenic views rarely associated with the country. Wonsan represents an attempt to balance ideology with economic aspiration, a coastal city that reflects both isolation and ambition. 7. Victoria's Fatherland Liberation War Museum, a monumental narrative of war. This enormous museum complex in Pyongyang presents the Korean War entirely through the North Korean lens. The scale alone is striking: massive exhibition halls, detailed battle dioramas, preserved tanks and aircraft, and immersive displays that reconstruct wartime scenes. Inside, visitors walk through chronological exhibits describing the conflict from 1950 to 1953. The presentation emphasizes resilience, victory, and military strategy. Guides explain each section with detailed commentary, reinforcing the state's interpretation of events. One of the most notable features outside the museum is the captured USS Pueblo, displayed along the Taedong River. The ship serves as a Cold War relic and a powerful symbol within the narrative presented by the museum. The site is more than a collection of artifacts. It is a carefully curated historical narrative, monumental in scale and ideological significance, reflecting how history is preserved and communicated within the country. 8. Man-Su-dae Grand Monument, monumental imagery and national identity. The Man-Su-dae Grand Monument is one of the most visually imposing sites in Pyongyang. Towering bronze statues stand against a backdrop of mosaic murals, depicting revolutionary imagery and national struggle. The scale is intentionally overwhelming. The statues dominate the skyline, and the surrounding plaza emphasizes symmetry and order. Visitors are required to follow specific protocols when approaching the monument, including respectful gestures and dress standards. The atmosphere is solemn and ceremonial. Official visits, delegations, and commemorations frequently take place here, reinforcing the monument's symbolic importance. Behind the statues, expansive murals portray scenes of industrial progress, military strength, and unity. The entire complex is designed as a visual representation of leadership, continuity, and ideological identity. Architecturally and politically, Man-Su-dae encapsulates the aesthetic of North Korea's capital: grand, symbolic, and meticulously choreographed. 9. Rason, a glimpse of economic experimentation. Rason, located in the far northeast, near the borders with China and Russia, operates under a special economic framework distinct from the rest of the country. Established as a special economic zone, it was designed to attract foreign investment and cross-border trade. The city has a more pragmatic atmosphere compared to Pyongyang's ceremonial tone. Markets, port facilities, and visible trade activity highlight its strategic geographic location. Proximity to both China and Russia influences the economic landscape, and cross-border transport routes are more active here. Rason's Rajon port plays a key logistical role, offering access to warm water shipping routes. This makes it geopolitically significant as well as economically strategic. While still tightly controlled, Rason provides a rare glimpse into how North Korea experiments with limited economic flexibility within its broader system. 10. Myeongsan, Sacred Mountains and Spiritual Heritage. Myeongsan, meaning mysterious fragrant mountain, is one of North Korea's most scenic and culturally important mountain regions. Forested slopes, rocky cliffs, and winding streams create a tranquil landscape that feels worlds away from Pyongyang's monumental avenues. Hidden among the peaks is the historic Poyansa Temple, a centuries-old Buddhist temple complex that survived war and political change. Wooden halls, prayer spaces, and stone pagodas reflect Korea's spiritual heritage long before modern state narratives emerged. The mountain is also home to the International Friendship Exhibition, a vast underground complex housing diplomatic gifts presented to North Korean leaders from around the world. The scale of this exhibition is astonishing. Carved directly into the mountainside, Myeongsan blends nature, religion, and political symbolism into one setting. Hiking its forest trails or standing near ancient temple halls offers a quieter, more contemplative dimension of the country, a contrast to the grand spectacle of the capital.